it's National Nap Day. Well, or it should be. Today, it's the day after daylight savings time. First of all, why don't they do it on Friday night so that you get the weekend to acclimate to it? Secondly, why do we do it at all? Daylight savings time went into place in 1917, as we were going into World War I, and it was to save electricity, to save coal, because we needed it for the war effort. And, we don't need it for the war effort anymore. There is no World War I going on. So why, I don't know. Anyhow, my body still thinks it's 8 o'clock in the morning, even though I was in Minneapolis over the weekend, but I still, I kind of live on Eastern Standard Time. Louise and I get up at 5 every morning, between 4 and 5, and we got to do show prep and stuff like that. And that's Pacific Time, which is, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time, which is but daylight savings time for some reason hits me hard. And do you know of any efforts, because I would love to sign on to one, to do away with daylight savings time? One of the things that we know from epidemiology, from studies, like looking at car accidents, more people die in car accidents on Monday mornings than any other day of the week. Because during the weekend, people stay up late, sleep in the morning, and their body clock gets out of sync. We're always, in fact, the studies, we're always trying to have a 25-hour day. The studies that have done where they put people in caves and things, or in light-proof places, and not given them access to clocks for a period of days, they find that your body will normally regulate around 25 hours rather than 24 hours a day. No idea why, but that's the case. And so we're constantly fighting jet lag, as it were. Why this? So anyhow, there's this National Nap Day. Let's turn the Monday after daylight savings time. If we must have daylight savings time, let's turn that Monday after it into a holiday. Over the weekend, Alternet put up this article that I wrote. I mentioned it last Friday, but I wanted to dig into it a little more on trade. The old joke about even a stopped clock, a broken clock, is right twice a day. Donald Trump is promoting tariffs. In the election in Pennsylvania, for example, Connor Lamb, the Democrat, is supportive of tariffs. I am supportive of tariffs. Most of the Democrats I know are supportive of tariffs. I was, I flipped on MSNBC this morning and heard Ali Velshi say, Connor Lamb is contradicting his own party. As far as I know, most people in the Democratic Party are in favor of protectionist trade policies, frankly, and not just tariffs. And, but I'm not sure what the official position of the party is. Perhaps we'll find out later in the week. We can ask Congressman Pocan about that. But I know the progressives, Bernie's been on this program for years, right? For 11 years he was on this program calling for tariffs. Progressives generally support some sort of protectionist policies that bring our jobs back home. So, I published this article. It's titled "Democrats Should Steal Trump's Thunder on Trade." It's over at alternet.org. And I started out with this quote from Adam Smith from Wealth of Nations in 1776, his famous book. It's the only reference in the entire book to the phrase "the invisible hand." Everybody talking about the invisible hand of the marketplace, right? Well, the first 11 words of that famous sentence are almost always omitted. So the way that people quote Adam Smith omitting words is they say, the entrepreneur intends, or he intends, only his own security, and by directing that industry in such a manner as its produce may be of greatest value, he intends only his own gain, and he is in this, as in many other cases, led by an invisible hand to promote an end that was no part of his intention. But the part that is almost always removed from that is by preferring the support of domestic to that of foreign industry. In other words, Adam Smith was saying the invisible hand of the marketplace works when people prefer to buy things made Well, in his case, it would be made in England. In our case, it would be made in the United States. Democrats should be taking this issue and saying, Donald Trump, great, you know, tariffs on steel and aluminum, but don't stop there. Let's right across the board, let's equalize. You know, the way that I tell this, I've been telling this story for years and years. I mean, the way that I characterize this is that if you can make a pair of shoes in Connecticut with $1 worth of labor, and you can make that same pair of shoes in Mexico with 50 cents worth of labor, or in China with 20 cents worth of labor, then when you import shoes from Mexico, you should add a 50-cent tax. And if you import shoes from China, you should add an 80-cent tax. So the cost of labor ends up being $1 wherever you make the shoes, so you might as well make them here. It's easier to ship directly to your customers and things like that. And this, you know, Alexander Hamilton came up with this in 1791. It was largely passed by 1793 at the request of President Washington. And it worked. It built America into an extraordinary industrial economy. And it worked right up until the 80s. And Reagan started taking this apart, you know, Reagan and Thatcher and the whole neoliberal thing, and let's do away with, and then the DLC and Bill Clinton in '92 running on NAFTA, running on a campaign of eliminating tariffs, in that case specifically for Mexico and Canada. But then broadly, you know, all these other, we've had deal after deal after deal to the point that we've got no tariffs left. And there's some great comments on this article. The first, this is a quote I didn't even know about, and I love it. I haven't been able to verify if it's an actual Abraham Lincoln quote or not, but somebody posted it in the comments, and whether it's an absolute Lincoln quote or not, it's still, this is the quote, it's still a great quote. When an American paid $20 for steel to an English manufacturer, Abe Lincoln is said to have had, when an American paid $20 for steel to an English manufacturer, America had the steel and England had the $20. But when he paid $20 for steel to an American manufacturer, America had both the steel and the $20. I mean, look around. Look around you right now. I defy you to identify more than one or two things in your home or place of business, wherever you may happen to be, or in your car, that were actually made in America. We really need to be bringing back this, you know, another comment. I worked 30 years, plus years in manufacturing in the aerospace industry. We've lost overall, as a result of these so-called free trade deals, somewhere around 5 million manufacturing jobs. By the way, I would add, NAFTA estimated, the trade agreement itself estimated that it was going to cost us 1 million jobs. It's part of the deal. There's Congress allocated money to train people for new jobs who were going to lose their jobs as a result of NAFTA. It's like, we knew this going in. And we're going to train them for what kind of jobs? This is something we really need to be focusing on. Another person commented, said, along with tariffs, we should bring back truly progressive individual income and corporate tax rates, like 65% on people earning over $1 million from any source. Also tax companies with over $500 million in gross revenues at 50% rates. We should reinstate the alternative minimum tax laws, as well as requiring corporations to bring back to the United States those trillions offshored in tax havens. We should eliminate the cap on Social Security so we have a true Social Security system. Another person talks about how, you know, the Dow is at 25,000 and we're making nothing. How can that be a reflection of our economy? It's not. It's a reflection of, you know, people moving money around. So, you know, your thoughts on trade, too.